numbers.
Mr. Parnell.
We still have 4 departments to hear from, and it's taken us over 2 months to hear from 2. And the 20% cut is strictly to get us through the first 90 days of the year, and that being reviewed in the motion no later than the 15th of April to look at the revenues and see where the spending's at to readjust it at that point in time. I mean, we were given a last-minute, last-hour budget to live with for a whole year that we still haven't resolved. I don't see anything different than trying to go into this as making a prudent decision after not hearing from all the departments, which I don't think we can do in a week.
I think it can be done. Just set your mind to do it. Mr. Berry.
Well, I mean, 20% seems like an arbitrary number. I'm not sure where Mr. Pennell came up with that number, and so I'm concerned too without having a budget review and sitting down with
Y'all
us.
got a discussion. Hang on a second. There's a discussion going up across the table.
Not really.
Well, there was. What was said?
Well, I've just been raising my hand tonight. I told her that she had cursed this chair.
Okay. All right. He's got the floor, so let him talk.
We had talked about 20% for the police and talked about 20% for the fire department during the budget review, and at that time I noted that if we're going to do that, that's going to mean laying off personnel within the fire department and the police department. Now, if Mr. Pennell wants to take, and the rest of the council take responsibility for that, that's an item, but I think this is a rather drastic cut to just do a blanket 20% at this point in time without having a budget workshop, which is what we should be doing. Granted, we are having trouble getting together, but I think we need to, as Mr. DeVito said, work together to try to find it. We have the water department and street department and sewer department. That can be handled at one time. It's one department head, basically. And we still have the mayor's department and finance director. If I'm not mistaken, that's 3. And we should be able to take care of that rather easily. We have a budget prepared. We know how much money we have. We're not into this, cutting 20% just to cut 20% doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I would still like to see if we can set up a budget workshop.
Make a motion, we have a budget workshop, 6 o'clock a week for Wednesday.
There's a motion on the table.
There's a motion on the table.
I call the question.
Well, let me take care of telling him that there's a motion on the table, since that's what I'm supposed to do. There's a motion on the table that I believe you seconded, I think. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you not second that one?
No, Mr. Parker.
Okay, Mr. Parker. All right. We have to go back and deal with the first one first, as Mr. Pownell's motion to amend the budget, cut 20%, and I didn't even get the rest of it.
Well, that's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it.
Well, now you have a motion to call the question, so you're going to
Okay.
have to take a vote on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I got a second. Then I can't ask for one.
You got one.
All right. And
I'll
Mr.
go.
Raphael seconded it, I believe. Okay. We'll do a voice vote on this one. I mean, a roll call. I don't think there is, I think.
No discussion.
This motion will be on the 20% cut by Mr. Pownell.
No.
No.
This will be on calling the question of whether to
Okay.
then vote that.
Excuse me. Ms. Balance? Yes. Mr. Berry?
You're calling for the question to, I'm sorry,
Any discussion?
to end the discussion? Yes.
Mr. Pownell?
No.
Dr. Kirkpatrick?
Yes.
Mr. DeVito?
Yes.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
5-1.
Okay. So discussion's ended. Now we'll go back to the original motion,
The original motion. Yeah.
and that is on the proposed 20% cut to all budgets by Mr. Pownell. Yes, sir.
Directing the finance director to
Yes.
prepare that.
Yes.
Mr. Conrad,
Is there still any
the
room
discussion
for
there.
discuss?
Yes.
Point of order, we've called the question.
Okay. Question, no, we can't discuss it, sir, I'm sorry. All right. A roll call vote. This is going to be a big one.
Mr. Perry?
No.
Mr. Raphael?
Yes.
Dr. Kirkpatrick?
Yes.
Mr. Pownall?
No. Excuse me, I'm sorry, what was the?
This is on your 20% cut.
Approving my,
Your motion.
yes.
Mr. DeVito?
No.
Ms. Balance?
Yes.
4 yeses, 2 noes.
All right. I notify my intent to veto this. So I'm telling y'all now.
I move to override the mayor's veto.
Second.
You have to wait until he's filed it at the next meeting.
I got 5 days from today to get it filed and be in office tomorrow. Yes, sir.
Point of clarification for the record, if I can.
Go right ahead.
Statement or not? Does the floor allow it?
No.
Guess what? I didn't hear the question. What was it?
If anything could be said, because there's some comments that were made that are not true.
Okay, I'm lost. I don't know. what you're
Public comments.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll wait till,
Council comments, yeah.
I'll wait till council comments.
Okay. All right, council comments, Ms. Balance, kick it off.
Council comments. I had the
Okay, what? Do what?
Agenda settings next.
Yeah. All right, agenda setting. We to discuss.
Will be discussed.
Second?
Second.
Yes, sir.
3 items. First one is discussion of the state audits and BK&D in accordance with Arkansas Code annotated 10-4-418.
second.
The second one is setting of a goals workshop prior to the 13 February meeting. Proposed time would be 5 o'clock.
February 13th?
Well, that's the next meeting, any time before the next meeting. That we can get a majority there.
Third?
Could we possibly make that 6?
And the meeting's at 6.
Did you get a second for that?
Was there a second? I thought somebody did. For the goals workshop? Okay.
So
I'll second that.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Are you saying immediately before the meeting?
No, I'm just saying, we need to set a date for the goals workshop at some point in time. Either that or we don't have any goals and we don't have time to have a workshop.
What was the third one?
Discussion of updating the city assets listing. It's a responsibility of the council to ensure.
Anybody else?
Have a second.
May I say 2 things?
Yes.
I didn't hear a second on the motion to set a time prior to February 13th.
I did.
Thank you. And the second thing is the city assets listing will be part of the quarterly report that's planned for the next meeting, the next council meeting.
Okay. Draw my motion.
Anybody else? Is that all?
I really am hoping that at this table this evening, two meetings can be arranged for workshops so we can get the budget ready. I mean, before we leave here tonight, the 2 time frames are set.
It was open for discussion. Discussion was
It's very
closed.
difficult to do it by email.
Sir DeVito?
Thought we just set the budget.
I think we did. 20% cut.
Across the board.
That was the motion that I intend to veto. and y'all intend to override my veto. So we're back to square one with the 20% cut. So there is no need for a workshop, according to the motion that was just made and passed. I'd have rather done it your way, or the right way, but, okay. Council comment, was there any more agendas? Stuff for the next agenda? All right, nothing else, council comments, Ms. Balance?
Had the opportunity to attend the Municipal League Conference in Little Rock a few weeks back, and it was very educational. I'm always glad when I'm able to attend those. It always provides a little bit of understanding of what's going on, where things are coming from and going, and how things work, and so I appreciate that opportunity. As a representative of Eureka Springs, it's always interesting to speak to representatives from other cities and talk to them about their towns and how their towns run and try to answer questions about ours. And so the number one question this convention was, is Eureka Springs really considering voting on changing their form of government? I said, well, yes, it is. Generally, that was met with either a snicker or a hearty laugh. And they said, gee, do you people there not know that only 3 cities in Arkansas have city administrator government form? I said, yes, I'm aware of that. And they asked me, well, gee, did you not know that there's been a lot of cities, several cities, you know, a couple dozen perhaps, that have tried city administrator form of government, and all but 3 have reverted to mayor-council form of government. I said, yes, I'm aware of that. So they would ask me, well, is anybody on city council in favor of that? And I would tell them, well, as far as I'm aware, there's one city council person who is in favor of that, and they would just kind of shake their head and laugh and wished us the best of luck. So what I found interesting when I was thinking about it was that the main proponent of this change to city administrator form of government sits at this table. And actually, that is what he campaigned on the last time he ran for office, was to change the form of government, because he said our form of government is not working. Well, interestingly enough, when he ran on that platform, it was before 4 of us took a seat at this table, and he was saying what we were doing wasn't working. So that was obviously before 4 of us were even sitting at this table. So as people think about voting for the change of government and the main proponent saying what we're doing isn't working, I would like everybody to seriously consider who was sitting at this table when this all started coming down. None of us are incumbents. The incumbent that is in favor of this is who was sitting at this table when he first started running on the platform that what was happening wasn't working. So the people who were here, who have been here for several terms or more than one term, maybe they're the ones we need to look at as far as what's not working in our government. Thank you.
Mr. Berry.
Hold please, one moment. Okay.
Mr. Berry.
I wasn't going to say anything after Ms. Balance's comments there. I'm sure she was directing it at another council member, and it's unfortunate that we end up getting personalities in place of principles, and we're not trying to work together sometimes. I'm very disappointed tonight in not being able to establish this workshop for the budget. That's, I think, very important. I don't think taking a blanket approach to the 20% cuts is the solution. I don't care if it's even for a 4-month period, because right now what that means is our department heads are still going to have to plan on laying off people, because we cannot pay people and cannot work on our budgets. If we've got a 20% cut, that means those department heads are going to have to start laying off people almost immediately, because they cannot pay people if that money is not in their budget, and especially if it's, even if it's in the, we have the resources and it's in our general funds. So I'm real disappointed that we took that approach instead of being able to work this out in a workshop. I know we've had that, tried to do the workshops, and we've had 2 workshops, and we got into that same 20% issue. And we got, vocal over that point, but it still means that we can't work it out and come to some sort of a conclusion on how to get this city going. Anyway, that's all I have at this point.
Mr. Vivino.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, if you're still watching, you're obviously a glutton for punishment, or you are suffering from insomnia. Regarding Ms. Balance's comments, I would add that what you saw happen here at council tonight should give you reason to look at the only other alternative form of government offered to us by the state of Arkansas, and that is the city administrator form of government. Since 1967, when the mayor-council form of government was instituted, we've not had a 2-term mayor. Yes, we did elect Richard Schoeninger for a 2nd term. He served for about 3 months and quit. So that gave him 2 years and 3 months. As what Mr. Berry stated, this is not about personalities. This is about process. This is about structure. With a proper structure, we can insulate ourselves from either weak or strong personalities. This is not about Mayor Pate. This is not about Alderman Balance. This is about a system of government that has not allowed this city to flourish and bring our best assets forward. Tomorrow night at the City Auditorium at 6:30 p.m., there will be an informational seminar. 2 speakers and possibly the mayor from Little Rock will be in attendance. These speakers have a combined experience of about 60 years in city administrator or city management form of government. As to Arkansas and why so many cities don't have this city administrator form of government, you just have to look at the history of our state. Most of our cities were formed in the late 1800s. At that point in time, they only had one form of government available to them. The city administrator form of government came out of the progressive movement of the 1920s. Since then, in that 80 short years, over half the cities in the United States have adopted that form of government. Most of the cities in Arkansas are cities like Berryville, Green Forest, tend to have a homogeneous population, tend to keep mayors for 20, 25, 30 years, tend to have a city council that works together. Eureka is uniquely Eureka. We have issues, we have problems, unlike other cities in this state. We have an ability to be informed as voters in our community, and I'm inviting everybody in the city to attend the seminar tomorrow night at the auditorium at 6:30 and have your questions and concerns answered firsthand. You may have heard rumors, innuendos about the end of the world if we were to adopt this form of government. Well, to be clear about it, the state of Arkansas only offers these 2 forms of government. Since 1967, we've tried to function under this form of government. I can't say we've had a good track record. We've been on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. We've been the butt of numerous jokes around Arkansas. I think when Ms. Balance speaks of those snickers that she heard at the Municipal League, that's people that know that know Eureka Springs all too well. We can do a lot better than, unfortunately, what we experienced here tonight. And I'm calling on the people in the community to be informed and to be involved. This is our community, and our future is at stake here. We can do better. Thank you.
Mr. Pownell.
Well, I, as Ms. Balance, would like to thank the mayor for allowing me to attend the Municipal League conference, even though my learned colleague across the table from me literally threw me out of the car on the way back home, and I hope everything worked out okay with your wife. I learned a lot. My question, when people looked at my name badge and saw I was from Eureka Springs, said, Oh, that's one of our favorite towns. We haven't been there for a while, and we need to go back. I think spoke well for Eureka Springs. As far as the innuendos, it makes it appear that everything that is wrong with this city today happened in the last year. I've sat it behind this table for almost 6 years, and I've seen the same things, if not worse, happen. So it's not just the last year. And I'd also like to clarify that if a department head for a 90-day period cannot operate with 80% of his budget, then, there's no intent in making that proposal that we draft a resolution cutting the budget 20%. It's that we need to have a realistic budget, which we only have another 8 days to accomplish, which means 3 readings and emergency clause, or if we go resolution, then we can do it in a special meeting. There was no intent to infer that department heads should start worrying about cutting their departments by 20% and laying off people. If that's the case, then they got a problem with their budget planning to start with if they can't live on 80% of their budget for the next 90 days. It's also an attempt to get this table off a dead center. And I remember sitting at this table prior to us taking office that we've got to get a budget passed because those incompetent 4 new people coming in that are not incumbents aren't going to be able to get a budget taken care of. Well, you know what? We lived with what they gave us. We've had some court rulings because of what they gave us. And in a way, it's come true because we're sitting here now on the 23rd of January and we still have not got a budget. And part of that is because we haven't been given all the materials we need to make an adequate decision for the budget. And again, I don't want to be the one that is accused of running out and saying we're going to immediately lay off 20% of all the city employees because we cut the budget by 20%. I propose cutting the budget for 20% for the first 90 days until we can get our act together with a good, decent, strong budget compared to projected revenues and expenses. Thank you.
Doc?
No comment.
Mr. Raphael?
No thanks.
Falls to me. And just a brief comment to Mr. Pownell's comment about not be given all the information. We've had a copy of the 2011 budget for most all year. Mr. Clark has sat in his office waiting for people to come asking questions, and I don't believe it's happened, has it, Mr. Clark? There's been ample opportunities to come in and have budget meetings. Granted, there may have been some emergencies, but you still have, well, probably now 7 days, not counting the weekend, to have this. But it was voted on to make the cuts for 90 days, which is not acceptable. The only other issue I have is last council meeting, Mr. Milligan, Doug Milligan, was presented you with the information about a sign that blew across the parking lot, damaged his vehicle. He has been in contact with me wanting to know why his issue was not on this agenda and when is it going to be taken care of by the council. That's all I have. Thank you very much. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we are.
Ken, I didn't mean to jump you into this movie, but I got